gonna put on the main fuel line to the carburetor. So let's take off the air filter here. I bought a pre-made one from Jegs that has also has a port on it for a fuel pressure gauge, which is going to be nice. So this being the pre-made carb fuel hookup, will go right there. All right, so we have here the Jegs fuel line here. We have a couple crush washers, it appears, and some threaded glue, which you're supposed to use, from what I understand, on MPT ports, but not AN fitting ports. So we're only going to be using them here, as the other ones are supposed to self-seal. So I've stumbled into a bit of a problem here. It seems that Jegs line that they've created for this section here is just a little bit too short. So when the left side's fully threaded in, the right side's off by maybe a little over a quarter inch, 1/3 of an inch. And so it appears that I'm gonna have to remake this hose. So I am gonna go ahead and do that and see how it comes. So I went ahead and created a new fuel line. I clearly need to invest in some AN tools because this got marked up a little bit, which is just me using wrenches. So I'm going to invest in that and probably remake this line later, since it's going to be one of the main ones you see. Anyways, I'm going to continue. So as you can see from the picture, I had to extend it about 1/4 of an inch to get it to fix. Otherwise it was going to be too stretched. Whereas if my measurements are correct, we should be good to go. So I'm going to throw on the T-fitting here, and then fit the one side on. And as long as my measurements were correct, it should work perfect. And a perfect fit. I'm not too happy with Jegs because this is kind of a stupid issue to have to deal with. I will tighten these guys up here. And there we go. Beautiful, aside from my connections. So here is the, I believe it's 1/8 NTP port for the gauge. I will go get that now. I will put on my thread sealant again. I'm going to have to buy a new one soon. Perfect. Once again, branded by Jegs, which, because of that issue, I kind of don't want to do that anymore. So now we're going to throw on throttle cable assembly. So here we have throttle cable assembly from Holley. Put that up here. And it fits, I believe, right like this. Like that. So we have to pull this one socket out. So it's a 1/2 inch bolt mounting this side of the carb. It's pretty loose there. So we're going to throw this screw back on. Here we can throw on 2 springs. So I got the throttle springs installed here. The small one through the bigger one, which this spring kit does not come with any sort of instructions, nor does their site really have anything, but from what I could look up and the few other photos that were taken with this bracket specifically mentioned, that's how we had it. So we're going to see how it goes. It seems to work pretty well. Full throttle, back. So it seems to be doing its job. Nice little chrome piece, looks good. Next thing I'm going to do is put on the fuel pump. Fuel pump goes right here, so we're going to pull off the plate that Chevy gives us. So this is the Edelbrock 130 gallon per hour mechanical fuel pump I bought. 3/8 NPT pipe threads and so on. So this is the bronze tip fuel pump push rod. I'm going to put some assembly lube and put it up through the hole here. Now I'm just going to throw these on just because it's ready for it and it looks good too. So let's throw this on here. Fuel pump is installed. So this is the Energy polyurethane motor mount. I have ARP bolts. So we're going to install that right now to the side. Now we're going to install the starter. There are multiple angle settings. I've already moved it down to the lower one that, at least from mocking it up, is the one I should be on. So we're going to find out in a second here. So the starter's installed. I need to get a front brace for it that I couldn't reuse from the old small block. But the max threshold on the distance from the starter wheel and the flex plate is 0.14 inch. This right here is pretty much, it's exactly 0.14, and it does not fit through, so we're within threshold. So the starter install appears to be good. Both bolts torque down to 35 foot-pounds of torque. We should be good to move on. So I decided to buy a new dipstick because this one's billet aluminum and looks a lot nicer and doesn't stick up so high off the head. This one was about there, and this one's a lot lower and low profile, so I'm going to install that now.